Hello, welcome to the Healthy Paranoia, Helping MSPs Hire and Scale Keynote. Today we'll be talking about how you can make your baby look like this in just 5 easy steps. My name is John Davenjay. I am CEO of Bowman Williams, and Bowman Williams is a permanent placement staffing firm for the MSP industry. It's the only industry we staff, and we've been at it since 2010. Prior to starting Bowman Williams, I started a MSP. And we were selling astrospace telephony solutions, voice over IP. We then went back to our SMB clients and we sold them managed services contracts. And I'll tell you right now that trying to source and hire IT professionals to join our small 8-person IT shop located 30 miles outside of Washington, D.C. in Frederick, Maryland, was by far the greatest bottleneck to our growth that we had. So I started Bowman Williams to help MSPs hire and scale successfully. A little proof of concept. Since then, we have put more than 2,500 MSP professionals into full-time jobs. We have staffed over 350 MSPs, and we've Skype interviewed over 10,000 MSP professionals. So today we're going to take that data and talk about three key areas that help MSPs scale and hire. First one being the MSP profile that is being hired most often. By taking the tangible skills, the technical skills, you can build a story, a narrative around these candidates and find those common themes about the people that are being hired that translate into successful hires most often. Next, talk about retention. So when Bowman Williams does a Skype interview with a candidate, we always ask their reasons for leaving, their RFL. And so we can take these data points and deploy tactics to help us mitigate premature turnover. Last but not least, we'll talk about how to structure win-win job offers. And there's a common thread amongst the MSPs that are extending job offers that get accepted most often. And it's usually not about money. It's very surprising. Let's be honest. Interviewing and hiring can be the worst. It can be the worst. And I think that we can all relate to making this face at some point in their process of hiring and managing a team. It's the what happened face. We interviewed, 20 people. We did 5 rounds of interviews. What happened? Or you conduct a 90-day review with your first employee and the person shows up the next day and they just simply say they're resigning and they don't give you 2 weeks notice. It can be very painful. I'm an employer, I know. So let's start with identifying the 4 top characteristics amongst MSP professionals that are most often translating into successful hires for MSPs. Sometimes your MSPs simply say the hiring process can be so painful that to them a successful hire isn't necessarily about hiring a Michael Jordan and finding the absolute best person that they can hire onto their team. Sometimes it's about not making a mistake. So these are the 4 characteristics that MSPs are usually checking, these boxes, before going all in and making an offer, starting with finding someone coming from an SLA-driven environment. Candidates that are usually making $60,000 or less, those tier 1s and those tier 2s, the reason they most often will be terminated for poor performance is they can't adapt to the decision-making process of ticket resolution. So MSPs that are doing it really well are finding candidates that come out of industries where they're SLA-driven. A SLA, when it's effective, will move those tickets through your MSP at such a velocity where people are efficient and tickets aren't getting lost. You can't have dummies clogging up that process. So MSPs with good operations and sound procedures will put more emphasis on finding candidates that have SLA-driven experience before even technical skills. To find candidates that have this kind of experience, of course, you can look to the MSP industry, the hosting industry, software as a service. They can come out of holding companies where they have multiple companies under their umbrella with different SLAs. Client-facing experience. This is a key one. Client-facing. Let's think of all the organizations out there that are notorious for poor customer service, like the DMV, for example. What's worse than going to the DMV, pulling ticket number 207, grabbing your clipboard, sitting down, and you hear over the loudspeaker now servicing ticket number 7? It's the worst. It's the worst. But the theme is the same. People hate waiting, especially when feedback isn't being provided. And communication is going to be the key to managing the psychological contract with the end user. So MSPs are putting more emphasis in hiring people that they feel like is an extension of themselves on the help desk. I think we've all been there where you hired someone, and you hear them interfacing with the client, and you literally cringe at how they're talking. Or you read their emails, and you cringe. Don't cringe. can be very hard to identify and vet for people that are client-facing and very good at customer service type of skills. The way that it starts with first, throwing out those fluff questions that you might be asking, like what's your spirit animal? You got to ask substantive questions that really pull out relevant information that glean something about how people interact with human beings. A good way to do that is the role play. Have the person actually provide you with 3 different scenarios where they're going to role play out setting expectations with you as an end user. Put them onto a computer and have them send you 3 emails right there in front of you. Don't send them home and have them do it. Have them do it right there in front of you. Supporting external clients and autonomous problem solving. Being an IT professional in the MSP industry is unlike being an IT professional in any other industry, and that's because we require our technicians to hop between supporting multiple external IT environments with heterogeneous types of technologies. Further, our clients are going to be on different Active Directory forest arrangements, domain structures, different hardware versions. And we require them to hop in to these situations without copious amounts of time to solve the problems and become intimate. So external clients have our candidates, and they come from that kind of environment. They're getting the reps of solving multiple tickets very quickly. We'll see MSPs often hiring candidates that might be greener in their tenure, just 1 or 2 years of experience, and they performed internal IT support for a large company. Or they might have spent their entire career working for one company, being intimate with their different systems, and they become siloed. Working for Lockheed Martin, for example, candidate might be really good at messaging. They're not autonomous problem solvers, they're not strong generalists, and those are skill sets that don't always translate to working in an MSP model. How to retain your employees. Retention can be very expensive, especially if turnover is a regular occurrence in your MSP, so it's good to be paranoid. Assumption is the mother of all mess-ups. So the MSPs that are putting a lot of time into retention are usually hiring less often, which I think could be really key. Lack of growth. Lack of growth. When Bowman Williams conducts a Skype interview with the MSP professional, we'll always ask people about their RFL, their reasons for leaving. I'm always asking my recruiters, what's the RFL? Why are they looking to leave their company? So by taking these different common threads that we hear from people, you can deploy tactics that mitigate this premature turnover. Natural attrition is going to happen. Premature turnover is detrimental and will thwart a company's ability to scale. So lack of growth. When we hear lack of growth from a candidate, what they're really saying is, I'm leaving because I feel like my career is lacking this growth. It's a feeling. Career growth is a feeling. It's not a tangible thing. You don't hear somebody say, oh, sorry, I left my career growth at home today. It's not something you put in your pocket and carry with you. It's a feeling. And how you get that feeling is having expectations set during reviews. Reviews should be conducted every 90 days, and they pipeline out 24 months. 24 months. During those reviews, you give your employee a chance to have a voice in their career progression. You also put it in writing. The companies that do really well put it into an actual Excel spreadsheet, and it will pipeline how tier 1s go to tier 2s, tier 2s go to tier 3s, how tier 3s move from the mundane break fix to projects, project engineers go to team leads go to actual managers. When you write it down and you give your employee a voice and a say in their career, they know what they're working towards, and they are far less likely to take a look around and interview. As managers, it's our team to answer the same question that we get asked by children when we take a long road trip, which is where are we going and how long is it going to take for us to get there? So essentially what you're saying is this is the goal, and you're defining how we're going to measure success. It's a key to keeping people tied in. Sound operations. Sound operations, it's a surefire way to see someone jump ship and leave your MSP if you stick them into a process that's broken. So it's good to be a ghost in the machine, be cognizant of the processes that you have your people working, and make sure that people are happy and check in on them. Let's talk about the common thread amongst the job offers that are being accepted most often. And the secret is to give them little babies that know karate. Give someone a little baby that knows karate and they'll accept every single time. Job offers. It's very time intensive to interview, and we want the fruits of our labor to come to fruition. Plus, it always feels good to sign somebody up that you're excited about having join your organization. When it comes to job offers, the very first thing we have to be cognizant of is that help desk level 1s do not want to be help desk level ones forever. And the MSPs that are doing it really, really well are systematically gathering information during the interview process and asking very tangible questions. It's like a homework assignment. It's a formula. You ask people, what kind of company culture are you attracted to? What are you excited to learn? What kind of technologies do you want to touch? You literally need to ask them, what do you need in a job offer and compensation to genuinely feel excited to join our organization? What do you need in health benefits? Do you mind if I ask you, do you mind if I ask you if you have a spouse or a family that would need benefits? You get the answers to the test ahead of time. Get the answers to the test ahead of time. That when you sit down to extend the job offer, you know that they're likely to accept. You're checking off those boxes. MSPs that are extending offers in this way, they're not usually offering the most amount of money. Some of the clients I've been staffing have been doing it for half a decade, and they hire 2 or 3 people a year from me, and they almost always get their man. It's really, really impressive, and I can't put enough emphasis on doing it in person, face-to-face, and doing it very systematically. That's all the time I have for you today. I'm John Davenjay, Bowman Williams.